Okay, hello. So today I'm doing my presentation on becoming the avatar, how digital appearance changes real behavior. So I'm going to be going over the Proteus effect. What we see, we imitate, and what we admire, we slowly become. As we tie in the concept of the digital self, an avatar, a filter, or a profile photo is merely not just decoration, but it shapes our immediate real-world identity and behavior. So think about it. Your current profile picture on Zoom, your character in a game, or a filter you use on Instagram this morning, none of these are just decorations. The point is that no one in the audience is exempt from this topic. Everyone already has a digital self, whether it's a game character, a filter, or simply a profile photo. Could changing how you look online change how you act offline? It also may be quietly showing us who we are supposed to be. That is the central tension of the whole presentation at first. It's something we create, but after enough exposure, it may start shaping the creator in return, and that is us. So what is the Proteus effect? Proteus, shape-shifting sea god in Greek mythology, he changed his form at will. Yi and Balanson borrowed that name because avatars like these allow people to change form inside a digital environment. People sometimes adjust their behavior toward the qualities that they associate with. A person represented by an attractive or powerful looking avatar might receive warmer or more respectful reactions from others. A person may look at a tall avatar and connect height with dominance. So basically it means that self-representation can create a measurable behavioral nudge. So how does this effect even work? So we go under a thing called avatar appearance, social expectation, self-perception, and behavior. So we're talking about how the avatar's appearance with its traits and expectations, and how those expectations affect how we see ourselves. They do not brainwash people, they nudge those behaviors. So many cultures associate height with strength, status, or dominance. That image activates a social expectation. Since the tall body is currently representing you, in this situation, I am the dominant person. That altered self-perception can then appear in behaviors such as negotiating more firmly. One explanation for this process is called priming. So Pena, Hancock, and Marola in 2009 tested this through an avatar clothing. So participants who had black cloaked avatars report more aggressive intentions and attitudes versus those who were in white cloak avatars. In another condition, avatars wearing a Ku Klux Klan style uniform produce more negative thoughts than avatars dressed as doctors. However, priming is not the only explanation. Self-perception theory argues that people infer something about themselves by observing their own appearance and behavior. In other words, when people reason unconsciously, oh, this is what I look like here, so this is what kind of person I'm expected here, that's crazy. So a recent theoretical review explains that researchers still debate how much effect comes from priming. Okay, so these effects come from priming, self-perception, and identity cues, or a combination of these processes. Finally, bring in Ratton and his colleagues in the 2020 meta-analysis research. It does not test one new group of participants, it statistically combines and results across many previous experiments. Their analysis covered 46 quantitative studies and found a reliable effect of about 24, approaching medium by common guidelines. Avatars do not brainwash people, they nudge behavior slightly. So participants who entered an immersive virtual environment and viewed their assigned avatar virtual mirror, that mirror allowed them to recognize the digital body as theirs, their own representation before interaction with other people. So in the first studies, participants received avatars that people previously rated as more attractive or less attractive. Afterwards, they interacted with the confederate, meaning someone working with the researchers. So participants had attractive avatars stood closer to the Confederate, and they oftentimes disclosed more personal information about themselves. Honestly, confidence is difficult to observe directly, so this was very useful. In the second study, participants received taller or shorter avatars, completed a negotiation task. They divided money with another person, so taller avatar participants made more self-favorable offers and were less likely willing to accept unfair splits. And they negotiated more assertively. Therefore, the partner treated that participant according to their appearance. Balanson and Dutchnow in 2009 later extended this idea. Participants who had taller avatars continued to negotiate more aggressively in a later face-to-face task. This does not prove that the effect lasts indefinitely, but it briefly crosses the boundary between virtual environments and ordinary life. The boundary crossing result is why this theory matters beyond games. What is the Proteus effects on video games? So we're going to be going over how Voldemort and Superman and how using chili and chocolate in this experiment. So this part, Yunin Vargas, 2014, assigned participants to play as Superman, Voldemort, or a neutral circular avatar. Participants tasted chocolate, hot chili sauce, and they chose how much either food to give to a supposed future participant. Participants who played as Superman gave more chocolate than those who played the villain, which is Voldemort in this case. And whoever played Voldemort gave more chili sauce. And the funny and important point here is that chocolate is not necessarily morally good, or chili sauce is morally evil, but it's that participants' choice moved in a symbolic direction that they just embody than just the visual appearance alone. Superman and Voldemort already carry powerful stories, reputations, and moral roles. A short laboratory choice does not prove that playing a villain turns someone into a violent person. After embodying a strongly moralized character, participants mirror that persona in a subsequent controlled task. Simple words, right after people pretend to be a certain character, they tend to make choices that match that character's personality in the very next task. Slide. So I'm going to be going over social media, filters, and ideal selves. Social media filter is not identical to a fully embodied virtual reality avatar. The Proteus effect research gives us useful frameworks, while body image research provides us more direct evidence on those called edited photos and filters. Fox, Balanson, and Tricase in 2013 studied 86 women in immersive virtual reality. Participants embodied either a sexualized or non-sexualized female avatar. Women who embodied sexualized avatar reported more body-related thoughts, a sign of self-objectification. This effect was especially concerning when the avatars used the participant's own face, because the sexualized body then felt more direct. Tigerman's 2022 review broadens the issue from virtual bodies to social media. Across the literature, she revealed, digital altercation was associated with negative body image effects for both people viewing edited images and the people creating or posting them. Importantly, labels announcing that a photo had been edited generally did not protect body satisfaction. Knowing intentionally that an image is altered did not stop the visual comparison from happening. At first, a filter looks like an enhanced version of the face. After seeing that version repeatedly, the enhanced face can begin to feel too familiar, while the natural face begins to feel like a deviation from it. Sometimes it means the admired image becomes the standard through which the real body is judged. The digital self begins as a fantasy, but repeated exposures can make reality feel much less beside it, which is deeply saddening. Now we're going to go over the positive uses of the Proteus effect. So this same process that reinforces appearance pressure can also be designed toward creativity, confidence, and empathy. Banneker and his colleagues in 2018 placed young adult men in virtual bodies representing either Albert Einstein or just ordinary adults, and what they saw was astounding. They saw that the Einstein group improved more than the ordinary body group. The results weren't perfect. The performance seemed to benefit. participants with lower self-esteem. That idea helped explain the result, that a person who begins with less confidence may have more room to borrow from a culturally powerful identity, such as Einstein. They have the opportunity to be Einstein. They can somehow miraculously just pull out better performance and ideas for people. And this is what makes intelligence feel almost like. Einstein allows you to unlock creative sides of yourself you just never knew. And that's what this research is trying to explain. Gungan and his colleagues in 2016 created a similar experiment with creativity with engineering students. Before the main experiment, the researchers identified avatar designs people associated with inventiveness. So these inventor avatars produce ideas that were just way better. During the virtual brainstorming, groups represented by the inventor avatar produced more ideas that were creative and original than produced by their own groups using the neutral avatars, and they noticed themselves as more creative. And some effects carried into later face-to-face tasks, suggesting that the creative identity cue did not disappear the instant the virtual session ended. Very similar to the Voldemort and Superman study with the chili and chocolate experiments. Together, the studies show that why design choices really matter. An educational avatar could be built around curiosity rather than perfection. The Proteus effect here is therefore not only just warning about digital identity, it's also a design tool. An ethical question becomes when a platform chooses to make use of these traits, such as being available, admirable, and easy to inhabit. And that's the important question. Going to the limitation slides. The risk limitations, and this will build to the conclusion. Retta and his colleagues in 2020 combined a 46 quantitative study and estimated a small but approaching medium overall relationship between avatar characteristic and behavior, and this result mattered. When evidence across many studies point in the same direction, we can be more confident that phenomenon is not limited to one laboratory or one kind of avatar, and at the same time, a reliable average does not mean every participant changes. Effects can depend on how strongly a person identifies with the avatar, how immersed they felt. An Einstein avatar could not improve performance if the user never experienced it as a part of the self, and a heroic avatar cannot create generosity in every context. The avatar offers a script, but the person, the setting, and the available choices around them determine whether that script is used or is effective. Casso, Biancardi, and Buzin in the 2024 theoretical review makes this remaining uncertainty clear. Researchers have proposed self-perception, priming, stereotype activation, identity-based motivation, and other mechanisms. These explanations overlap, and the evidence does not yet reduce the entire Proteus effect to one settled psychological process. The uncertainty makes arguments stronger and not weaker. Good research does not require pretending that every question has been solved. So in my conclusion, we began with the profile pictures, filters, game characters because those images felt ordinary, but then research asks us to see them differently. A digital image may be a small environment for the self. It highlights certain traits, makes certain expectations easier to access, and gives the user a temporary way to rehearse being someone. Isn't that amazing? So we end off with the great closing now. Digital images do not control us, but they quietly hand us the scripts for confidence and identity. So what we see, we imitate, and what we admire, we may slowly become that. Okay, thank you so much, and this is the end of my presentation.